We begin with Maya Angelou. Over the course of her career, she has been known as a journalist, an actress, a producer, a singer, a playwright, an educator, a civil rights activist, and much more. She has published 11 bestsellers, worked with Dr. Martin Luther King, and been honored by several presidents. Until recently, she was best known as the author of I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which is a memoir of her childhood. But this year, she came to national attention in a stunning moment with her brilliant inaugural poem for President Clinton on January 20th. Her latest book is Wouldn't Take Nothing for My Journey Now, and we're very pleased to have my friend here with me this day. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Charlie Rose.
I should make the point that you are, in fact, a North Carolinian as well, living in Winston-Salem and
at Wake Forest
University.
I surely am.
Let me first talk about the inaugural poem, because it has gotten so much attention.
Yes.
How did it come about? How did you feel? Share the moment with us. I know you've done this before.
Well, no, each time it's new.
All right.
Each time it's fresh. Harry Thomason telephoned me.
Right. This is the television producer and friend of the president.
Yes, that's right. But I knew him only as the husband of, the producer, of course, but also the husband of Linda Bloodworth Thomason,
right,
producers and writers of Designing Women. So I thought he was going to ask me to write a segment, or else come on and be one of the Designing Women for a segment. And he said, I know this is not done to ask a poet to write a poem to order, but we were talking to President-elect Clinton last week and reminding him that he had the right to ask any poet anywhere to write a piece for his inauguration. And he said without a second thought, then get Maya Angelou. So I said, let me sit down first. Yeah. He said, well, what do you think? Will you do it? I said, I will do it. Of course I will do it. I'm delighted, I'm honored, I'm frightened to pieces, but I will do it because it's almost impossible to write a public poem. Yeah.
Public poem meaning that everybody's going to see it, or that everybody knows you're writing
Everybody knows you're writing it, and you're sort of writing it to people, and they're involved in it. That's a contradiction in terms, public poem. Yes. Poem is private and interior and all that. And people, as soon as the statement was made to the press, people would see me in the supermarket, on planes, and say, how's the poem going?
Finish that poem yet?
Yeah, exactly. So it was very difficult, and I had to pull myself away and try to write about my beloved and benighted country.
Yeah. And how did you go about doing this? You went somewhere away, or in your own home? You went away?
I keep a hotel room in my town.
Yeah.
I always have to when I'm working. And I leave home about 5:30 in the morning and go to the hotel room. And I have all the photographs and paintings taken off the wall.
Right.
And I sit there with the yellow pad, pens, the Bible, Roget's Thesaurus, a dictionary, and a bottle of sherry.
And you begin with the sherry.
Either one, whatever comes first.
And so, a rock, a river, a tree.
Yes.
Host to species long since departed, mark the mastodon, the dinosaur who left dried tokens, and then goes on and on and on.
Shall I tell you about the rock?
Yes.
And the river and the tree? I took the three symbols from African American music, so that the rock and all that is said about the rock comes from a 19th century gospel song, which is, there is no hiding place down here. No, there's no hiding place down here. Oh, I went to the rock to hide my face. Rock cried out, no hiding place, you know? Mm-hmm. And then the river I took from, I'm gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside to study war no more. And the tree from my grandmother's favorite song. My grandmother, when she died, was over 6 foot. And Mama used to say, I shall not be moved. Actually, she sang, I shall not be removed, just like a tree that's planted by the water. Oh, I shall not be removed. So I took those three from that particular genius in the African American soul.
And once you had that,
then I could talk about all of us. I could talk about the Spanish speaking and the Jew and the Italian and the Muslim and the gay and the straight and the teachers and the privileged and the homeless and the artists and all of us who make this fabulous country.
when you finished, did you know I finished and you say, I have done it and put it aside? Or did you tamper with it and play with it and sing it and hear it?
Yeah, all of the above. I put it aside and pulled it back and tampered with it. And then I called friends. Yeah. And I said, just listen to this. And each time, people would cry. They said, Maya, you did it. Yeah. You did it. So that made me think I got close.
And when did the president-elect, did he see it before he heard it?
No. Yeah. I wasn't obliged. In fact, they told me I had as much time as I wanted.
On the podium?
On the podium. They told me when I was writing it. Harry Thomason said, use as much time as you like. I know brevity is the art of art.
Yes.
And the soul of wit. Yeah. But I had to show it to some of his people 2 days before so that there could be the printing for those who are hard of hearing for television. But Mr. Clinton didn't see it or hear it.
And were you nervous when you walked up there, or were you so in command and so connected to the feeling that you wanted to express?
I was in the poem.
You were in the poem.
I was in the poem.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't been, I would have been. I mean, 2 presidents sitting to my right, and 2 presidents, ladies, and 2 women who I admire, and then my grandson, my son was on the podium with me. Yeah. My Lord, I would have been terribly frightened had I not climbed into the poem.
And what did he say after you finished?
Mr. Clinton?
Yes.
He thanked me very, very much. Yeah. It was more than he expected.
Was there a line or a phrase, or what's the most memorable part of it for you? Not one word, not one phrase, but a poem.
Good morning.
Good morning, it is. Here on the pulse of this now day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning.
Good morning, yes.
Yeah.
I tell you what I think is happening.
Okay.
I'm pleased and grateful to see you with a good show. I love it. I stay up late and many times say, I'm not going to watch this. This guy has no interest. This person, this woman, I'm not interested.
Cut him off.
But I find myself caught by your own art and by your selectivity. I think at the same time that the proliferation of talk shows speaks to an inability in our country to communicate. So people will watch other people communicate on television. Yeah. Rather than make the effort themselves to say, good morning, good morning.
Right.
And I think until we reinstitute among ourselves and among strangers this courteous greeting, we are slipping away from our connectedness.
Yeah. You know what happens to me, and it must happen to you too, is that a lot of times you know because you're on television that a lot of people know you that you don't know. Yes. But you can't necessarily know that maybe you knew them before, or maybe you've met them and you can't remember all the people you've met. So when I catch eyes with people, I always say good morning or how are you? Yes. And what happens is that there's always a sense of smile comes over somebody's face. Even if they didn't know me, they may be saying, what the hell is he saying to me good morning for? But there's a sense of smile because there's a connection. Yes, exactly. You know, and the too frequently in our fast-moving times, doing all that we're doing, we pass by each other without connecting, or we see each other without connecting. And if you just noticed a small sense Almost like saying, I know you're there.
You're there.
You
I
know?
recognize
I
you.
recognize you,
Yes.
you know? And you are a fellow human being
That's it.
on the same road that I'm on.
That's it.
You know?
Oh, that's so hot.
You know?
Yes, it's too true.
All right, so you did the poem, and it was, and here's what happened, though. You asked people, what do they remember about the Clinton inaugural? Here it is. It's you and the poem, understandably, because those words delivered by you had a powerful impact and much more than what happens in terms of what the president says, because the president goes on to say a lot of other things, and they remember him for a lot of different things. But that's what they remember. I mean, it just stands there, this impact you had. Tell me what's happened since then, and what to you, because I want to get to this book, Wouldn't Take Nothing for My Journey Now,
That's right.
and what you say about all of our journeys.
Yes. Well, my correspondence, the mail has quadrupled.
Around the world.
Yes, from around the world.
Yeah.
The poem has been translated into 40 languages or so, and by different people. So I may get 3 translations of my poem in Bengali.
Yes.
And of course, it has the alphabet is not recognizable to me.
Yes.
The only way I know it's my poem is there's a tree, a drawing of a rock, and a stream with some frisky fish in it. Going that way.
Yes.
And 3 different people will translate it.
Yeah.
So even the sentences are not the same length.
Yeah.
So
Now, I should make note now, the new Poet Laureate of the United States is a sister.
yes,
Rita Dove from Philadelphia. Where's she? Philadelphia?
Wonderful
Yeah,
poet.
yes.
First-rate poet. We're coming on.
Do you think we are coming more now today into some appreciation of poetry? Has any of this given us a sense of...
Well, maybe we're coming more into the recognition of poetry.
We've always appreciated...
We've always appreciated poetry. I mean, anybody who listened to Aretha Franklin or Willie Nelson or Simpson and Ashford and Simpson.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Anybody.
you're listening to poetry.
Right.
But now we're admitting, strong men are saying, you know, I may not eat quiche, but I listen to a poem or 2.
Yes. Now, this is what brought about Wouldn't Take Nothing for My Journey Now.
Well, 2 women, Susan Taylor, editor-in-chief of Essence,
Right.
and Marcia Gillespie, editor-in-chief of Ms. Magazine, called me and asked if I would talk with them about some lessons I had learned. And I thought, in truth, I've been offered a number of lessons. I don't know how many I've actually learned.
Yeah.
But I said yes. It also gave me a chance to get them to come to North Carolina, and I cook. That's my hobby. So
that's an invitation nobody turns down.
I'm very pleased. Anyway, they came, and I talked to them about things that I had worked out or I was working on or should work on. And Marcia Gillespie wrote an article for Essence magazine in December. Susan Taylor called me and said that the article was so popular that she'd had to go back to press.
And print more copies of the magazine.
Of a magazine. Mm-hmm. And then women around the country, mostly black women, but a lot of white women, Spanish-speaking women, phoned me and said, listen, we want more of this. Tell us more. And then Oprah, who is a dear friend to me, called and said, this is not enough. It's just not enough. She said she'd had the article bound, and she had 1 copy in her car and 1 by her bedside. And so I thought about it, and I thought I have learned something. I've certainly been exposed to a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And
wisdom and giant celebration.
Deductions.
Yes. Everything.
So I wrote it.
Yeah.
And I took the song, the title, from the 19th century gospel song, which is...
okay, come on.
Yeah, wait now. It
Come
says, you can talk about me, Mount Zion, much as you please. Mount Zion, when I talk about you. Mount Zion, Gonna be on my knees, Mount Zion on my journey now. Right. Mount Zion on my journey now. Mount Zion, and I wouldn't take nothing. Mount Zion for my journey now. Mount Zion.
If you don't love that.
Oh, my Lord, I love it. And I love the way the old people sing it in the church. Yeah. They put their hands way on the big.
Yeah, right,
way.
right. So they get up.
That's right.
Get up.
That's right.
That's right. Do you go to Sunday? I mean, I make it. When I lived in Washington, I used to go to the Shiloh Baptist Church because of the music. I mean, it was the best music anywhere in Washington. Yeah.
I go to Metropolitan.
Better music there? Maybe I'm missing.
Well, I don't want to say that.
You always say that to the good people at the Shiloh Baptist.
You know, my preacher is there, Reverend Hicks, and the choirs are great. But I belong to church in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the Mount Zion Baptist Church.
All right.
And I work in my church.
And sing in the choir?
Well, no, I don't sing in the choir, but I will work with the choir. I will recite poems.
Why won't you? Why won't
I'm
you?
not home long enough.
Okay. Yeah.
It wouldn't be fair.
What's your favorite hymn?
My favorite is my grandmother's. Not I Shall Not Be Moved. But she had a song she used to sing every Sunday. Every Sunday the Lord brought. Mama would sit in the mother of the church pews, and the preacher would say, "And now we will be privileged with a song from Sister Henderson." And every Sunday for 10 years, my grandmother would say, "Me?"
Yeah. Knowing it was coming.
Knowing. And I used to sit in the children's pew and think, "Mama, get up and
do
sing."
it.
Everybody knew
it.
They even know what you're going to sing. She'd take 5 minutes looking all around. The kids would be giggling. "Your grandma doing it again." Yeah. Oh, terrible.
Like this is the first
Just
time.
horrible. But then she'd stand and she'd sing. And her song was, "I am a poor pilgrim of sorrow. I'm lost in this wide world alone."
Sing it, sister.
I'm not here to sing songs, and I can't sing either.
Yes, you can. So you decided, because of Oprah and everybody else, to put all of these sort of lessons I've learned into this book. And listen to this, though. The dedication is to Oprah Winfrey, with immeasurable love.
Yes.
What's this friendship? I mean, what bonds the two of you together?
She reminds me of myself.
Because of her youth and what she went through?
What she went through and how she came through. Yeah. And what she's brought with her. You see, you can be so scarred by abuse that your tendernesses, your sensibilities are impossible to reach or beyond reach. And so you make yourself not only a victim, but a victimizer. And Oprah has avoided that. And that I admire that in her, because that's what I have tried to do. To become not only healed, but a healer. And that is what her life is about. And I love that in her.
Do you hear, because I'm sure she must, because of shared pain from a lot of people who you touch, and people to so simply to say to people, "You're not alone. You are not the only person who's been to the depths of this kind of abuse." As a young person, you thought you were alone, you thought nobody knew and nobody cared, and there have others who've come and survived and made sure that they were not victimizers, right?
Yes. I hear that with her. I hear it a lot. She doesn't say it, she is it, she acts it. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of her balance.
I assume that's part of what is her enormous appeal.
I'm sure it is.
You know, which has made her, the richest person in the world, I think.
No, hardly that. But rich inside herself,
but it
yes.
is something. I mean, she has this magnetism, but it is somehow something that comes from how they relate to her. There's a connection that people come in that she understands, to the basic human emotion.
That's right.
Fear, rejection, great
ecstasy,
ecstasy,
joy, big laughter.
Right. Yes.
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 And so what, this is from the Acts of the book of Acts. Wisdom was created before all things, and prudent understanding from eternity. Now, what does that mean?
Well, we all know a lot, and I think that statement helps us to remember how much we know. I have a painting by Phoebe of about 8 black women sitting on fold-up chairs. They look like women in my grandmother's prayer meeting group, and one chair is empty. My grandmother died. I was at 20th Century Fox as Fox's first black female producer, writer, director, and I put that painting in front of me so that whenever I had a question about the right thing to do, the principled thing to do, the thing on the high moral road, I would sit in front of that painting. I still do. And I'd think, what would Mama say? And before I can finish the question, I hear her say, now, sister, you know what's right.
Yeah.
Well, the truth is, Charlie Rose, each of us knows.
Right.
So that's what that statement means. Wisdom has been there since eternity and will be there, since the beginning of time. Prudent understanding. We do know. Now, we lie to ourselves for our convenience or for expediency or because it is politic to do. We say, I didn't know what to do about that. We do know.
Yes. You also talk about conflict among black men and black women, and you've talked about that, and how can that be when you have shared so much?
Well, I don't think that essay really has so much to do with black men and black women as it has to do with women and men, just all women and men. But there is a schism which exists between black men and women, and it's really painful and frightening because we were taken together from the African continent. We laid spoon fashion, back to belly, in the filthy hatches of slave ships, and in our own and in each other's excrement and urine. We stood up on the auction block together. We were sent out to work before sunrise, come back after sunset together. We have been equals, and we are in danger if we lose that balance. Because if women begin to feel, the black woman is the strongest, then where is the man? If the man begins to feel, I have no place in her life, then there's no balance. And all our people will have paid all those dues for nothing.
Virtue. You say curious, but we have come to a place, a time when virtue is no longer considered a virtue. The mention of virtue is ridiculed, and even the word itself has fallen out of favor.
Yes. Somehow, today, if you want to ridicule someone, you can say, oh, he's a square.
Yeah.
She's a virgin. You know that he's 20 years old, he's a virgin. Why? Suddenly that is the silliest. Instead of the thing that would make us at least say, that's interesting. But we immediately begin to think that this person has no value to us in our community or in our conversation, save as a butt of a joke. There's something wrong.
Whining is not only graceless, it can be dangerous. It can alert a brute that a victim is in the neighborhood.
That's right. That's true. The brute, minding his own business, maybe, having a hot dog. Here's somebody whine. I don't know. I can't do anything. I can't protect myself. The brute says, well, okay. Maybe the brute didn't even have time to take advantage.
But here are a couple more. This is Lessons in Living. I'm taking this actually from a living life as art requires a readiness to forgive. I do not mean that you should suffer fools gladly, but remember your own shortcomings.
Yes.
You know?
Indeed. The most boring and the most dangerous people are those self-righteous people who would have you believe they have no skeletons in their closets. In fact, they have no closets. They're full of baloney. I think that before you judge anybody, you should look at yourself and have enough courage to admit what you see.
We need the courage to say that obesity is not funny, vulgarity is not amusing, insolent children and submissive parents are not the characters we want to admire and emulate. Flippancy and sarcasm are not the only ways in which conversation can be conducted.
Exactly. Now, on television, we see this constantly, where, I mean, people are beginning to think that the only way a man and woman, or two men or two women, can convey ideas to each other is through sarcasm. Yeah. And snide remarks. We diminish ourselves and we endanger our survival.
Yeah, and somehow insults to their personhood and their humanity.
Indeed.
You know, without any sense of how it strikes deep into their own self-esteem.
That's right.
You know.
And into the speaker's self-esteem.
Yeah. You also make this point too, is that the whole, this is basically what this is about, is living. It is, this is what I find interesting. The judicious response to a jab can disarm the root. The judicious response to a jab can disarm the root person, removing the power to injury. Falling to an entanglement with brutes will usually result in nothing more conclusive than a stimulated nervous system and upset digestive system. Don't get, what is it said another way, if you lie down with something.
Yes.
You know,
yes, you will wake up with fleas.
Right, lie down with those, you wake up with fleas.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Now tell me where you are now in terms of what you're doing. You know, where are you in your life and what are you doing and what do you want to do? Because you have done everything.
No, I have not. I've tried a lot of things.
Yeah.
I've failed at some things and succeeded at some.
Yeah, but what I love about you is that you have attacked it all with great passion. I mean, I can look at all the books here that you have written. I can look at all the things you have done, from journalist to poet to writer to actor to producer, all of those kinds of things, which suggest this uncommon confidence in yourself and willingness to risk failure.
Yes, yes, but maybe it's more dangerous
Plus
to risk success.
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of people don't really want success.
I've never understood that.
This is true. It's
you mean because they don't want it, and the best evidence of that is that they fail. And the best evidence of that is they don't try things.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
But to succeed means that, I mean, you're in front of God and lots of responsible people, and you have to either eat your words or stand by them. I think that I have agreed a long time ago, Charlie Rose. This may be what my greatest blessing. I agreed a long time ago that I would die. Now, if I can admit that no matter what happens, I will do this thing. Yeah. This is the biggest bugaboo of them all. I will do that. Well, then why couldn't I attempt something lesser?
Yeah.
So I will try. I have a new musical. I wrote the music, the lyrics.
The musical?
It's called And Still I Rise. It stars Clifton Davis.
Yes.
And so far, I want Robert Guillaume,
yes.
Wonderful singer,
now,
too.
This is a musical for theater,
theater.
That you will start. You're going to have initial performances in North Carolina?
I have already had initial performances in North Carolina, Washington, D.C., Richmond, and Raleigh. Yeah. And they were sold out. So I've got to write a few more songs. Right. And I'll put them up there and pray.
We may make it to the big white way.
Listen, well, colored way somehow.
The great white way, or the great colored way.
That's it.
Great to see you.
Wonderful to see you.
You're fixing dinner for me when I come to North Carolina.
North Carolina, I'm making it
for the
dinner.
bicentennial.
That's right.
Great to see you. I love you. You know that. Thank you.
Me to you. Thank you, Charlie Rose.